I believe we are officially live. I'm so excited to get started. We are about to begin our mentor orientation. If you are watching the recording of this, you can fast forward by about 6 minutes. We're going to get started just momentarily. I'm so excited to have you all here this evening for our mentor orientation for the spring 2020. If you're watching the live version, we're going to give you about 6 minutes to jump into the live session. But like I said, if you're watching the recording, please feel free to fast forward 6 minutes because we want to give it people who are going to join the live session enough time to come in. Thank you all for being here. I'm really excited to get started. So I'm just going to post the link onto our website and just allow people, give everybody enough time to jump in. But yeah, I hope everybody has been enjoying their Thursday evening so far. I'm up in Indiana and it is very cold this evening. It was a great day. It was very sunny. I'll take the sun. I like it. But it was very chilly. I think a high of 30 today. So yes, if you were thinking of warm weather, Indiana is not the place to be, at least not right now. But as spring comes on, I believe my mentor told me earlier today that spring is only 4 weeks away. So I'm so excited that is coming, that is happening. So we're officially live on our website. Perfect. We are officially live. That's awesome. But yeah, we're gonna get started in about 5 minutes. So I'm just gonna post into the chat area. Like I said, if this is a live session, the cool part about live sessions is that you can interact with me. So I will see all of your comments in the chat area. So I'm just gonna type here in the chat area, please post your questions and comments here during the live session. Please also introduce yourself. Perfect. So I'm excited. I'm so grateful, by the way. I'm so grateful to have everybody here and everybody. I'm so grateful to have you all as mentors here. Obviously, you're giving up your time, you're volunteering your time, and you could do a lot of things with your time. So the fact that you've decided to spend your time with us and with your organization, mentoring a student as he or she is pursuing his or her professional path, it's a really rewarding feeling, really cool thing that you're doing, and I'm so grateful that you're here as a mentor participant. So yeah, we're gonna get started in about 4 minutes, but thank you all for being here. Hey Sharon, thanks for making that comment. That's awesome. But thanks for being the first one to jump in. The pool is warm, everybody. Say hey in the comment section. It's great to have that interaction. It helps build community. That's part of the reason why I love doing these live sessions, is because everyone can kind of get to know each other, even if we're on different parts of the world or different parts of the country, or we come from different backgrounds. Having this mentorship insight and these orientations is so much fun, and it's so cool to see everybody come together. So yeah, introduce yourself, say hello in the commentary. Would love to see who you are, what you're where you're from, what you do. That'd be cool. That's always a fun way to introduce yourself. Hey Gary, thanks for coming here. So like I said, we'll get started in about 3 minutes. And by the way, for anybody who's watching the recording of this, you can fast forward. Obviously, anybody who's here live, you get the added value and benefit of being able to ask questions to me live. By the way, I'm Garrett Mintz. I'm the founder of Ambition Emotion. I'll introduce myself more in depth in just a moment when we get started. But in case you're wondering, like, who is this guy? I am the founder of Ambition Emotion. I'm the person helping run and facilitate this mentor program for your organization. Hey, Elliot. Hey, Jarrett. Hey, Jessica. Hey, Aubrey. That is awesome. BM Ruiz, you're from Southern California. That is great. It is probably significantly warmer than it is in Indiana. I think I just finished walking my dog, so I think I've got, like, my cheeks are still a little rosy just from walking outside, which is I guess a sign of how cold it is. And thanks for saying hey. Hey, Kimberly, welcome. Yeah, so excited. We're going to get started in 2 more minutes. But once again, I just want to say how grateful I am to have you all here as mentors. Like I said a couple minutes ago, you could spend your time doing a whole lot of other things, but the fact that you've decided to invest it as a mentor to help a young person as he or she pursues his or her career is extremely rewarding, and it's extremely beneficial. It's a great way to pay it forward, and I'm grateful that you're here. And really, these workshops, these mentor workshops, they serve as guidance and insight to hopefully giving you more or less some perspective and some tips and some hints on ways that you can make the most out of this mentor experience. And this hopefully will just give you some tips if you feel like, you know, maybe you've hit a wall with your mentee, or sometimes you don't actually know what to talk about with your mentee, or if you want to bring some variety into conversations. These workshops can really help you get to the bottom of some key and critical insights that maybe you would not have already considered before. Hey, Jared. Hey, Catherine. Hey, Phyllis. Hey, Alice. Hey, Emilio. Hey, Conrad. Thanks for saying hey. Thanks for jumping in the chat area. That is awesome. We're gonna get started in about 30 seconds. So yeah, we're gonna get going in just a moment. If you are watching this, love if you can introduce yourself on the chat area. That would be awesome. That'd be so cool. Cool. So about 30 more seconds and we will get started, and we will give you an overview of us, what we're doing, and all that fun stuff, and really where we can go from here and how we can make the most out of this mentor experience. If you have any questions during this workshop, post them in the comments section. That's the point of YouTube Live. The reason why this is not a pre-recorded spiel is because I want to interact with you. I want to engage with you. I want to be able to answer your questions the moment you have them, because I would imagine that if you're thinking of those questions, somebody also is too. And so if you're asking the question in the live session, I can answer it and answer the question for anybody who may have that question. So that is why we do this live. It also helps build community. Other people can kind of see who else is participating from other parts of the world, which is super cool. But it is officially 7 o'clock on the East Coast, so we are going to get started. My name is Garrett Mintz. I am the founder of Ambition in Motion. I'm the person helping facilitate this mentor program, me as well as my team. I've got really great people around me, way smarter than I am, that are helping make all of this happen. I'm just the mentor guy. I'm the person who comes in and does the research and the background insight on why do some people get along with other people for mentoring relationships. That is the thing that I am so fascinated about. And the thing that I personally love more than anything else in the world is hearing when students or mentors come back to me and say, you know what, that was awesome. I feel like I just learned so much from that mentor experience, or I feel like I was so helpful. I feel like we really hit some great connections there. And even honestly, the funniest thing about mentorship, in my experience, is that it's not just about maybe the tangible outcomes that you see, like, oh yeah, they got an internship, or oh yeah, they got a job offer. That's amazing and all. But what's really valuable is sometimes the incremental steps of just consistently meeting. Like, as a student, having somebody there for you is so critical. And even if the conversation is just a casual conversation, you as a mentor, you might think to yourself, like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't know if I'm making a really big impact. I can promise you are. I'll cite some stats in just a moment about why your presence as a mentor is so valuable. Even if it's not, let's say, here's goal 1, did we accomplish it? Yes, great. Goal 2, it doesn't actually have to be as regimented as you may think for you to have an impact. And that's, I guess, the point that I'm trying to make here. But to give you a background on me, because I think it's important for you to understand who I am, what I do, why I do it. The mission of Ambition in Motion, rather the vision of Ambition in Motion, is I and my team, we envision a world where the vast majority of people, not just a couple people, but the vast majority of people are excited to go to work. When they're there, their expectations meet reality. And when they come home, they feel fulfilled. Everything we do works towards this mission. Everything we do works towards this mission. And so beyond serving higher ed, beyond serving fraternities, sororities, honor societies, pre-professional societies, and universities, we also work with companies to help set up employee mentor programs where we connect employees together to increase workplace engagement, grow company cultures, onboard new employees, help make middle managers more effective in their roles, just ultimately help bring people together, because ultimately beyond just higher ed, we know that we can have an impact on the professional world and helping build bonds and connections that previously may not have been there. That is what we are all about. Now, when it comes to mentorship, sometimes I'll hear this is sometimes people will say, well, for me to be vulnerable, I have to have trust first. And what I've experienced, what I've learned is that is actually not the case. Vulnerability always precedes trust. And so sometimes sometimes it comes down to who is that person who's willing to be vulnerable first. as the mentor, I want to put the onus on you. Will you be willing to be vulnerable first? Because if you are, you will open the door for your mentee to be vulnerable with you. So vulnerability is critical. And to really prove that point and to practice what I preach, I want to share with you my story. Not because it's all about me. I really want to share my story to kind of give you a taste of just me being vulnerable with you, and just to give you an idea, because I can just kind of convey the point that when someone's vulnerable with somebody else, you feel greater connectivity between that person. I feel like you'll feel greater connectivity to me if you know my background. And this may sound crazy, but the reason why I'm so passionate about mentorship is because I personally needed mentors in my life. From age 15 to age 19, I was a drug dealer. And you might be thinking like, whoa, what the heck? How the heck did the guy who used to be a drug dealer get into this? I'll share with you that right now. At the end of my freshman year at Indiana University, I got arrested in an undercover operation by the Indiana University Police Department. I received 5 felony distribution charges and I was expelled from school. And that hit my life like a brick wall, because up until that moment in time in life, I thought success was you go to school, you get good grades, you get a job, and then somewhere along those lines, you just kind of find yourself, like as if it's puberty just comes and hits you. But that's not how life works, as you probably already know. And nobody that I had ever known that I ever thought was successful ever was a drug dealer. So I either had to accept being a total failure or redefine my definition of success. And so I chose the latter. I got really lucky. I enrolled in a program in St. George, Utah to help me turn my life around. And while I was there, I first got exposed to the power of mentorship. Now, I know a lot of you may be thinking, a lot of you may have kids. You might be thinking to yourself, like, what was your home life like? My home life was great. I have great parents and they supported me. I just made my own choices. I have this need for being needed. I love this feeling of being significant. And in my mind, I was a drug dealer because I could be significant in the eyes of my peers. And that was not a healthy outlet for getting that need fulfilled. But obviously through mentorship, this is a much healthier outlet for me to be needed. I get to help people, connect them with professional opportunities to help them drive the career outcomes they want for their lives. So to finish up my story and to kind of continue it, I moved to St. George, Utah. They helped me come to grips with the fact that, one, how I had embarrassed my family, my friends, my parents, my country, and my university. And they also helped me come to the realization that people would care if I had gotten in trouble, and that, ultimately someday or another, life is going to catch up to you. And that's something that really was helpful to me. But then on a professional level, they helped me come to the realization that if I'm going to get professional opportunities, I really have to stand out from the crowd, and I really have to get myself out there, because the moment you Googled my name as a 19-year-old, you would see Indiana University Police Department does drug sweeps for 8, and I'm one of the 8. So there couldn't have been a bigger red X around my background check. And so that is something I really focused in on and I really honed in on. And so when it comes to the students and the mentees that we work with, a lot of what I brand in terms of what we teach students in terms of networking is how to network like as if you can't have someone do a background check on you. And that's really, I know it might sound silly to say that, but it's really about implementing and increasing that wow factor of really building a strong rapport with people. That's something that we really try to focus on with our workshops. And so my very first internship, I got sitting next to a guy on an airplane about a month and a half after living in Utah, sitting on a plane, sitting next to a guy, take a keen interest in him. I decide to listen to what he has to say. I really interact with him. I ask him poignant questions. By the time the plane lands, he says, oh, by the way, I'm the director of ground equipment for SkyWest Airlines. He offers me an internship doing financial analysis on the spot. So I got very lucky. I continuously lucky. About a year after living in Utah, my felonies were dropped to a misdemeanor conviction. I got re-enrolled at Indiana University. And that's when I started Ambition in Motion, to help connect college students with mentors, to help them figure out their path, to help them figure out where they wanted to go with their careers, because I knew that I wanted to make an impact. And I think after getting in trouble and after making those mistakes and really hitting rock bottom, I felt significantly more comfortable challenging the status quo and saying to myself, how can I help people? And if I totally fail at doing this, if I even help one person, will it make this time worth it? And I realized this was the path that I wanted to go down. So that is my story. That is my background. Like I said, I shared that with you because I want to give you an idea of your vulnerability. And here's someone you've never met before, opening up to you about his story, about just kind of how he got to this point in time in life and where he's at today. And so I facilitated a lot of mentorships and I facilitated a lot of relationships and I've helped people hopefully take steps towards get to where they want to be, have their expectations meet reality for their career, and just be fulfilled by their work. So there are 3 keys to success to being a mentor in this program. But before I jump into that, I'd love to ask if you have any question, post them in the comment section. I'd love to check them out. If you got any initial questions about the mentor program. Awesome. I love, everybody's interacting. That's fantastic. Ebony, that's great. Josh, that's awesome. Hey, Parson. Hey, Aubrey. I appreciate that, Aubrey, by the way. If you all have any questions, please post them in the comment section. I love this interaction that we're already having on the comment section. That's amazing. It looks like we don't have any questions so far, so I'm going to keep going. So there are 3 keys to success in this mentor program, and that is honing your strategy, your story, and your state. And I said that in reverse order of importance. So state is the most important thing, and your state is your physical body, your physiology. Like, what kind of energy are you coming into this mentor program? Now, I recognize that you are a full-time working professional. You are volunteering your time to be a mentor, but that is no excuse to come into your mentor meetings sluggish, bad posture, not feeling great about yourself, because if you do, the energy you're going to give off is going to be low energy, and your mentee is going to see that, or they're going to observe that. Even if it's on the phone, they can pick that up in your vocal inflection. And so if you're coming into a mentor meeting, or really into anything, in a poor state, the energy you're going to give off is going to be bad. And so I want to challenge you to really come in with some positive energy. And so there's a couple ways you can go about doing it. I don't know if you've ever heard of a power pose. I don't know if you've ever done any exercises that help you get into state. But one thing that I like to do is I like to shake it out. So I think it would be a good time right now to have everybody shake it out. If you're watching this live, or even if you're watching the recording, I want you to stand up and I want you to shake it loose. I want you to shimmy. I want you to get moving. I want you to scream at the top of your lungs. Just scream, yeah, just let it out, let it go, let it loose. And I know that sounds crazy. You might be thinking to yourself, who's this crazy guy on this video? But what I'm telling you right now is that if you do this, you will take yourself from wherever you're at to a 10. You'll get yourself ready to go, because if you come in with a positive physical state into your mentor meeting, the energy will bounce off of your mentee and they will reciprocate that to you. But if you come in as an energy taker, as an energy sucker, because you've had a bad day, or because something's stressing you out, or because you've had bad posture all day, or because whatever's bringing you down, it is going to reciprocate back to you. And low energy is going to bounce back to you. But if you come in with high energy, you are going to get high energy back. You are going to be an energy giver, an energy provider. And that is something that's so critical to mentorship, because it's beyond your advice. Your wisdom's amazing. You've got great insight. But if you are coming in with a bad state, and the medium for which you are conveying your information, that being your physical state, your physical body, is bad, it doesn't matter what information you're providing. What matters is how you provide it. And your state is critical to that. So I really want to challenge you. I know that sounds like a crazy exercise to do, but I really want to challenge you to get yourself in a physical state conducive for being in a successful mentoring relationship. The next key is your story. So what's a story you tell yourself? Are you telling yourself, well, I've only got XYZ number of years experience, or I've only done this sort of thing so many times, or, I've been out of school and for, so many years, I don't know if I can relate. If you tell yourself a story for why you will not be successful, you will not be successful as a mentor. I promise you that. But if you tell yourself, you know what, here's a silver lining. I may have been out of school for 10, 20 years, but there's a lot of things that I've learned that I know that I would imagine could be extremely valuable to my mentee. Or, I may not have that much experience, but I know that there are some things that I've experienced that is on a little bit higher level than what my mentee has probably experienced. Even if it's only a few blocks down the road in terms of their progression in life, that's a whole lot. That's an eternity for a lot of people, especially that transition from college to career. So I just want to challenge you to come up with a story for why you will be successful. In fact, I'd love to ask you that question. Why do you believe that you will be successful as a mentor? Post in the comment section. I love to learn your thoughts about your mentality, about where you're at. Because I think, by the way, if you share your story about why you think you'll be successful, and other people can see that too, they will feel more confident in themselves. We're building community here. So I'd love if you could post in the comment section, why do you think you will be a successful mentor? That will really help ignite the story for why you can be successful yourself. I'd love to learn about that. Post in the comment section. And the last key is the last key is your strategy. So the strategy is the actual things that you're going about doing to implement your mentor experience. And that could be when you're going into your mentor experience, maybe you set your expectations from day one. You say, hey, when we have these mentor meetings, when you're saying this to your mentee, I want you to come in with 5 questions that you'd like to have answered by the end of this meeting. You could say that. That's completely reasonable. You could say, I'm expecting you when we have this conversation to be on time, not late. And if you're going to need to reschedule it, you let me know 12 hours in advance. It could be via text, it could be via phone call, it could be via email. I don't really care, but you need to give me more notice than 5 minutes if you cannot make a meeting. That's okay. Those are normal things. These are the strategies that you implement. If you say, hey, I want to start setting goals on our very first mentor meeting, that's another strategy you can implement as well. You might say, you know what, I just want to start with a conversation and get to know you first. That's a great strategy as well. Whatever strategy you use, fully hone in on it. And by the way, I'm going to provide strategies through our mentor workshops over the course of this semester, over the course of this spring, that can help guide you and help you come up with new ideas about how you can further engage your mentee. And so I will be personally there to help you with that. But when it comes to your state and your story, that's all on you. I can only do so much to get yourself into a physical state conducive for being successful. And I can only do so much to help you create a story for why you will be successful. But then after that, it's all up to you. So let's talk about why being a mentor is important. Being a mentor is so important because college students who have a mentor are nearly 3 times as likely to thrive in their livelihoods than students who do not have a mentor. College students who have mentors through their organization show greater levels of positive emotional feelings towards their organization as an alumnus. And this could be also their university. College students who have mentors are 32% more likely to be engaged in their work compared to students who don't have mentors. This is according to the Purdue Gallup Great Jobs, Great Lives report. It is so powerful to be a mentor. Even if you feel like you're just having a conversation, or you might think like, I'm here for my mentee, but I don't know if we're really making a ton of progress in terms of their personal goals. I can promise you just being there for your mentee is a huge impact into their personal well-being later on in life. This pays massive dividends in terms of the future of these young professionals. And outside of the impact to the students, being a mentor is extremely rewarding in the sense that you can teach. So it can teach you new things and provide you somebody in which you can bounce things off of. Mentorship is reciprocal. It goes back and forth. If you come into this relationship thinking like I'm only giving something to somebody, that's a bad mentality, because here's the thing. You're going to learn from your mentee. You're going to learn from what your mentee has to say or what they're going through. If you're coming in with an open mind that you can learn from them, you're going to have a much greater relationship than if you think I'm only giving. Because then it's going to perceive to you like as if it's a taking relationship, like as if someone's taking from you. But if you believe that you've got something to gain from this mentorship as well, you're going to be just as motivated and invested to making sure that you make these meetings happen as the student is. So I just want to challenge you to come in with an open mind that this mentor relationship is going to give you something as well. And you may not know exactly what that is right now, but if you come in with the expectation that it's not going to give you anything, you're going to be infinitely less satisfied with that relationship, and you're going to come in with an expectation that it's not going to work. I like to think of it like this. If you can trade your expectations for appreciation, you will be infinitely happier. I'll say it one more time. Trade your expectations for appreciation, you will be infinitely happier. Gratitude is critical. So you might be thinking to yourself, how was I matched with my mentee? Now, this is something that's unique to Ambition in Motion. This is our work orientation assessment. So we sent you an email introduction between you and your mentee within the past 24 hours. And in that email introduction, we talked a little bit about work orientation. We had a video where I explained a little bit about work orientation. And if you go onto your dashboard, where you go to ambition-in-motion.com/login, and you log into your dashboard, you can see both your and your mentee's work orientation and more information on that. But to give you just a debriefer on work orientation is how you view your work. So some people view their work as a job. Some people view their work as a career. Some people view their work as a calling. Now, it's a spectrum, and to elaborate, someone who views their work as a job, their focus is on work-life balance. Someone whose focus is on career, that means their focus is on professional growth. And if someone's focus is on calling, their focus is on how does my personal and professional mission align? Now, what's unique about work orientation is that it's fluid, so it can change throughout your life. So maybe at one point in time in your life, you're really career-oriented. Then, maybe you started a family and you said, I want to be home on the weekends, became more job-oriented. And then maybe you got closer to retirement and you thought to yourself, you know what? I want to be doing something that's impactful and meaningful. I want to do something that's calling oriented. It can change throughout your life. So it's not a right or wrong work orientation, which is, I think, a big misconception. Some people think, oh, I only want to be with calling oriented people. And that's not necessarily true in terms of workplace satisfaction. That's something that we've observed. But what we did learn was that when work orientation is aligned for a mentoring relationship, so when two people's work orientation is aligned, so if you both are calling oriented, or you're both career oriented, or you're both job oriented, or you're both close to each other on this triangle spectrum, your likelihood of having a successful mentor relationship increases substantially. So that is a big reason for how we match you. Now, sure, we also looked at your career interest. We looked at your years of experience. We looked at what you studied in school. We looked at where you're living. And those are all nice secondary factors, but work orientation is the number one factor in terms of correlation to successful mentoring relationships. So we know that even if your mentee is in a different field as you, or is pursuing a slightly different career path as you, or even a wildly different career path as you, if you both have aligned work orientations, your likelihood of getting along is increased substantially. So that is something that's pretty cool that we've observed from our research and our research partners that are in industrial and organizational psychology. So how are we preparing the students to meet with you? We run workshops. We run a set of 4 workshops over the course of the semester. Each workshop has 3 separate speakers. We cover topics about how to get your foot in the door for professional opportunities, to how to network in a genuine way, to how to prepare for a professional interview, and how you can talk about your mentor relationships in an interview, especially if you've got limited internship experience. And how can you make the most of that first job or internship? So those are the 4 workshops we cover. We bring speakers in, guest speakers from all across the world. In fact, if you'd like to watch any of our workshops, you are more than welcome to. You can just subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is how you're watching this workshop right now. And you can go ahead and check out any of the workshops we've done. They're all public. You can see all of our guest speakers. You can see exactly what the students are getting to prepare for their meetings with you. And the goal of teaching these skills to the students is that we equip them to make progress professionally, so then they have options and pathways to their desired career paths outside of just solely relying on you. We want to provide them with additional support to help them get to where they want to be professionally. It's a lot easier to mentor somebody when you are guiding them, as opposed to just having put all their eggs in your basket, if that makes any sense. Ultimately, we want to provide them with coaching and workshops to help give them strategies towards making the most of this mentor experience and making professional progress, and then work with you towards refining that and really honing their abilities and skills to continue up that path of where they want to be. So what can you expect from your mentor relationship? Actually, before I jump into that, if you've got any questions, please post them in the comment section. I'm going to check the comment section right now just to make sure if you have any questions that I can answer them. So I've got a couple things. Gary, thank you so much for sharing that. That's awesome. Kelsey, you mentioned you've not received an email yet. I will be sure to touch base with you after this workshop, and we can make sure that you are connected and prepared. Gretchen, you mentioned that as well. We will be sure to get to you. My colleague Megan, she will be sure to follow up and make sure that you are taken care of. Josh, you mentioned the same thing if you haven't been assigned a mentee yet. So Allison, you asked a great question. You said, what is the difference between career-oriented and job-oriented? So career-oriented means that you are somebody that's motivated by professional growth. It means that you are somebody that is motivated by getting new skills and gaining professional opportunities. And that is something that's very consistent with a lot of mentoring relationships. From a workplace standpoint, you are typically someone that's very engaged by learning new skills so that you can be better at your work, because ultimately your work really motivates you and you want to be better and you want to ultimately work up that ladder. Whereas if you're job oriented, you're someone that's motivated by work-life balance. You're someone who wants to, ultimately get, you want to find a balance between your professional life and your personal life. And that's great. I mean, ultimately that means you're motivated at work, typically by the social atmosphere of the work environment. And that's totally great as well. There's not a right or wrong, issue between job or career or calling, but those are the differences. And essentially, if you're someone that's motivated by job oriented, like I said, you're motivated by making sure that you've got that yin and that yang between yourself and your work. And that is something that's really helpful and beneficial to you. Awesome. Thank you, BM Ruiz, for sharing why you believe you'll be a successful mentor. That's awesome. Very cool. Ryan, thanks for sharing. Catherine, thanks for sharing. Phyllis, thanks for sharing. Amy, thanks for sharing. That is awesome. Jessica, that's great. Alice, amazing. Thank you all for sharing in the comments section. If you got any questions, please post them in the comment section. But I'm going to continue on to this next part of our orientation. This is what to expect from your mentor relationship. So we have just facilitated all the email introductions. between you and your mentee, and you should have your first conversation by March 10th. If you've not gotten your email introduction yet, so I know we've had a couple of those questions, we will personally follow up with you and let you know what the next step is. Now, I will mention that we had quite a bit of mentors that have signed up, and we are still a lot of times still working towards building our student and mentee participation list. So if by chance you were not batched with a mentee for this mentoring relationships, there are other ways that you can go about getting involved and sharing your insight with your mentees. We will follow up with you via email in terms of that insight and just give you overall next steps with how that's going to work and how that's going to interact. So you can anticipate conversations and follow-ups by no later than early March, just so then we can kind of like make sure all the matches are set and that everybody's prepared and ready to go, and that everybody's having a great relationship, and that we can let you know what's going on in terms of next steps. You can expect that your mentee will have varying degrees of progress towards their career goals. And I know that some people are more open with sharing the wins that are going on in their world than other people. And that's okay. Just because your mentee isn't openly sharing the wins that he or she is having in his or her life does not mean that you're not having an impact. You are absolutely having an impact just by meeting with them and being someone to support them and allow them to bounce ideas off of. I just want to be very clear about that. They aren't expecting you to have all of the answers for them. That's another big thing. Just because they ask you a question, I think you should be transparent about what you know and what you don't know, and what is conjecture and just what is something that's your opinion and something that you've observed, because ultimately that will help you build rapport with them, because it'll show that you care about them getting the right information, not just getting them your opinion. The best mentors ask the best questions, so take the time to listen. That is something that's so critical. When you're in this mentor relationship, you're not there to ramble off a bunch of information. That's not engaging. In fact, what's way more engaging is sharing stories. Stories are powerful. Stories allow us to relate to other people. Just like I shared my story with you all, I think you all could hear that story and potentially find parallels to your life in my story. I know a few of you have already commented on that, and that's amazing. And I'm really grateful that you can and that you did. But the best mentors ask the best questions. So if you can take the time to listen to what your mentee has to say, and as opposed to trying to think about what you're going to say next, but truly sit back, listen, take notes, you can ask significantly better questions as opposed to trying to think about what you should be saying next while your mentee's talking. I really want to stress that, because it's not the advice that you're giving that's going to make this relationship impactful. It's going to be the questions that you ask, because more people, more often than not, are going to act based on the questions you ask them, the answers they come up with on their own, versus the suggestions that you give them. That's at least my experience. That is what we've observed, and that is what we found to be extremely effective for mentoring relationships. So we will be running workshops throughout the next 12 weeks to help you prepare and come up with different strategies towards engaging your mentees and just give you the most up-to-date information on mentoring relationships. Our first workshop is on Thursday, March 5th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Our second workshop's on Wednesday, March 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then our third workshop is on Thursday, April 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you cannot attend a live session, that's totally all right. I mean, the benefit of attending live is that you can be here with me, ask questions, interact, and ultimately participate in the workshop. But if you cannot attend, I totally understand. You've got a lot of things going on. And I want to always reiterate, I'm extremely grateful to have you as a mentor in this program. And so whatever time you can give to your mentee, extremely grateful for. And so if you cannot attend a live session, that's completely all right. These will all be recorded. We always send the workshop recordings the day after they've been recorded. So you can always get insight from the recording by watching it whenever it works for you. If you want to rewatch this recording, you're more than welcome to. Yeah, I'm strongly encourage it. And then, yeah, we have an open forum on LinkedIn where all students and mentors can post their comments and questions. It would make it a lot easier on me if you sent me a LinkedIn connection request. I will get towards sending you a LinkedIn connection request over the course of the next 3 weeks. But if you send me one first, it makes it a whole lot easier. We can start connecting, and then I can add you to this LinkedIn group. Either way, once I send you the connection request and once you've accepted it, I can then add you to this Ambition Emotion Worldwide Network LinkedIn group. But ultimately, those are just additional ways that we can help connect people together and ultimately help build stronger relationships between mentors and mentees, and just help kind of everybody see who's in the community. So that is essentially the end of our mentor orientation. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments section. I'd love to answer them. If you've got a question, I guarantee you somebody else has the exact same question. So don't hesitate to ask. I'm really excited for you all to get started. And like I said, for anybody that's having any issues with connecting with their mentees, I will see these in the comment section. I will answer them, and we will work towards essentially getting those questions answered essentially in just over the next few weeks. And if you are by chance not matched with a mentee, we will let you know. Like I said, it's got nothing to do with you. Sometimes it's just that we have a lot of mentors that have signed up, but only a finite pool of students, and we match based on that work orientation methodology. But we also recognize that some mentor relationships don't work out. Sometimes mentors have personal issues going on, or they move, or their work changes. And so with that said, we want to give ourselves a buffer of about 2 to 3 weeks just to have all the matches start and happen. And if anybody needs a rematch, we can make those matches happen. So I just want to be very transparent about how this whole process works. And if you're, by the way, not matched with a mentee, we have alternative ways for you to get involved and give your insight to mentees, because we want to make sure that you are engaged in this process and are fully participating in any and all ways that you can. So that is essentially the end of our workshop. I'm looking through our comment section now for questions. Great. So Sharon, you asked the question, how do you determine career orientation in each of our profiles? So in your initial assessment, when you took that little questionnaire, took about maybe 5 to 10 minutes to complete. In that questionnaire, that is where we got your work orientation from. If you log into your dashboard, that's ambition-in-motion.com/login. You can use your username and email, or your email and password that you signed up with when you first took that assessment. You can actually see your work orientation, and it's really cool. You can also see your mentee's work orientation if you're matched with your mentee. And we got that information from our work orientation assessment, which we embedded into our initial assessment that you took. So Ryan, you asked the question, is there a WebEx function like there was previously as far as video, audio for our meetings? I encourage Zoom. I'm a big fan of Zoom meetings. It's free. It's a great way to set up mentor meetings. I am a big fan of video calls. If you can do in person, that's the ideal way to set up mentor meetings. If you cannot do in person, video call is the next best, because you can see each other. And body language, I believe it's what, 60% of our communication is via our body language. Only 7% of our communication is actually the words that we use. So when we can see each other, we can pick up so much more from that mentoring relationship. So if you can do a video call, I'm a big fan of Zoom, but if you like Skype, Google Hangouts, or any other video call, go for it. I'm a big fan of doing it, whatever works best for you. There's free options, so that shouldn't be something that you have to pay for. Ebony, you asked the question, I have asked my mentee to make a list of things she wants to accomplish, and what she makes big, sorry, I'm going to reread that question. I've asked my mentee to make a list of things she wants to accomplish, and what she makes to make better in her job. Is this a good beginning step? I think that's a great beginning step. So if I'm understanding that correctly, Ebony, you asked your mentee to start thinking about what she wants to do for her career and how she wants to go about getting there, and how she, essentially some initial questions that she could have for you about, you know, how she can go about getting the goals and achieving the goals that she set for herself. I think it's a fantastic start. If you're another mentor that's thinking about doing that as well, I'm a big fan of that. But like I said, every mentoring relationship is unique, and therefore I want you to go with a style that you feel is most comfortable for you. We also provide meeting agendas. These are not mandatory. These are just suggested mentor meeting templates that can help you start building rapport with your mentee. These are things that we've used in the past that we found to be extremely effective for people to begin those relationships and just give some structure to the meeting. Especially if you are a mentor, you're thinking to yourself, I don't know what to say in this meeting, or I don't know what to ask. These provide some great structure. Or if you're the mentee and you're thinking to yourself, I don't know what questions to ask, these agendas help provide structure for what to start the conversation with. And we've got those agendas listed on your dashboard. That's ambition-in-motion.com/login. And you can see your dashboard where you've got your work orientation, your meeting agenda, scheduling meetings, all that fun stuff. Jeff, you asked the question, where can we find those dates, times that you mentioned, so I can add it to my calendar? So yes, you can find them on the Mentor Guidebook. So this is something we sent you immediately after you signed up. So this, you know, was in your email inbox before. But what we can also do is in our follow-up email, when we send you the link to this YouTube video, we can also send you that Mentor Guidebook again. It's just a Google Doc. It lays out all the information about what it means to be a mentor, the timeline of the mentor experience, all that fun stuff. We'll be sure to include that in our email when we send it out to you tomorrow with this link to the recording of this workshop. And if you, by the way, if you want to rewatch this workshop, you're more than welcome to. It's on our public YouTube page. You can absolutely check that out. Perfect. So it looks like, oh, Alice, you had the question. Could you please repeat the comment that you made about trade expectations for, yes. Allison, thanks for stepping in. Great collaboration on that. Yes, trade your expectations for appreciation. That will make you infinitely happier. It's a great gratitude exercise. Essentially, let me rephrase it like this. When we have expectations of how we want things to go in our life, it's easy for them to not live up to our expectations. Does this mean we don't set goals? No, that absolutely, we definitely set goals. But if we have an expectation for how we think things are going to go, it's easy for us to feel let down when it doesn't happen the way we want it to. But if we come into an experience thinking, you know what, I've got no expectations, I'm just grateful for whatever positive can come out of this relationship, we are going to be so much more satisfied, so much more gratified from the relationship that we are in. So if we can trade our expectations for appreciation, we'll be infinitely happier. That's what I mean. And Allison, you asked the question, how long should each session be with your mentee? I mean, I schedule it out for 30 minutes, but I want to encourage you to customize it. I mean, if you can have it go to an hour, amazing. I mean, really, you are volunteering your time, and I'm grateful for whatever time you're willing to give. I recognize that you're a busy professional and you might be strapped on time. So 30 minutes might be the only amount of time that you can give, 3 30-minute meetings. And if that's the case, hey, I'm grateful for those 3 30-minute meetings. But if you can give more, and if you're willing to meet more, I love for you to build a deeper, stronger bond with your mentee, because we know that that is a great way to continue on that relationship. If you can, I know that every person's situation is different. Jessica, you had the question, state and story are certainly important. Do you have any key words you use in conversation to encourage your mentee? Yeah, I would say just in terms of key words that I use in conversation to encourage my mentee is really, I think it goes all back to the questions, because your questions can be so intimate and they can be so specific to their situation. So I think really when you're getting started, as opposed to just introducing yourself and just talking about you, I would strongly suggest that you hang back. You ask your mentee about your mentee and you listen to what they're saying and you're listening to what they're doing. Let them talk first. And they may say, no, tell me about you first. If you are the bigger person, you say, hey, you know what? I want to learn about you first so that I can cater my insight, my questions to your specific situation. That will help. By the way, those meeting agendas that we provide you can also help provide some guidance in terms of what questions to ask and how to go about asking them, really starting to build that rapport with people. Hopefully that answers your question, Jessica. I love how much interaction we're getting from this comment section. That is amazing. Thank you all for being here. It looks like we don't have any other questions. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. I'm so excited for you to get started with your mentee. And for those people that have said that they've not heard from their mentee yet, or they've not received an email, we will follow up and just let you know what those next steps are and just give you an idea of how we can help you stay involved with us and help you give advice to mentees and just people in general about why mentorship is so valuable. I'm excited for you all to get started. I'm excited for you all to interact, and I'm excited for you all to begin. Our next workshop is in early March. I look forward to seeing you then. Have a good rest of your night.